Hey, this is Jeffrey with another edition of Stock Smart, February 22nd, 2021 edition. Hope everyone is doing well. Market is unwinding a bit. S&P oscillator still unwinding. Market's down about 50 basis points right now, as we expected. See more to come. A couple things over the weekend happened on Friday. Keith Gill, the Reddit trader who became famous for his positions in GameStop, purchased another 50,000 shares of the stock. GameStop was up 4 or 5% today. So maybe that's having an impact. Still short 35-40% at this point. That's a definitive number. The short total, when you look at it, again, remember, it's about 2 weeks delayed. So we don't know how accurate the 40% is that in the readings that we get on the shorts. But again, Keith Gill, the Reddit trader who became famous, who was, just had the House hearings, was testifying this week, bought 50,000 more shares of the stock. So Elon Musk over the weekend talking about cryptocurrency, he said that he admitted that the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum seems high, which may be hitting the cryptocurrencies today as Bitcoin is trading down. And in fact, most of the cryptos today are trading down. It's down to about 53,000 right now. According to some analysts, they would estimate that Tesla, who has Bitcoin on its balance sheet, has made about approximately $1 billion from the investment. But again, it's getting hammered today. This is where you have, it's not perfectly correlated. And I'm going to do a topic on this in the next week or so, where I look at the oscillator, which is the overbought and oversold conditions of the market. And we're going to look at those numbers and see what the correlation is between Bitcoin going up, moving up and down, and the market moving up and down. It's not perfectly correlated, but again, what you see today is the market going down. You see Bitcoin going down and all the cryptos are falling right along with it. So is it correlated? It may be more correlated than people think. It's definitely not a haven. It's definitely not gold, which on days like today goes up, especially in times when we continue to hear about inflation every day, the creep in the 10-year, which continues to go up every day. And those things are definitely going to affect the equity market. So stock we're going to watch. We're going to do this marketing thing we do where we read the description of the company and see if you can guess it. So we are an American multinational corporation that designs, manufactures, and sells airplanes, rotorcraft, rockets, satellites, telecommunications equipment, and missiles worldwide. Who are we? Ding, ding, ding. Boeing. Boeing had another bad weekend. One of their aircrafts, the 777, had a mid-air explosion. Pieces all over the neighborhood in Denver. Sort of looks like one of those movies, that one movie with Tom Cruise where the world was going to come to an end, where the airplane is all over the neighborhood. It sort of looks like that. And if you've ever been to Universal Studios, that's a pretty cool scene. But there's these big jet parts that are all over the Colorado area, and it's from another Boeing 777 that had problems over the weekend. So this is the same kind of pattern for Boeing. This isn't going to be a big deal for them. There's only about 24 of these types of planes, in existence right now that are being used. But again, Google, Boeing, it's all going to be negative. And that's the problem with the stock. And that's why it's trading in the range it's in, which it trades now in a range of 160 to 230. And it hit that 230 last year around June. When people thought it was kind of rebounding, it also hit around in December, it bounced up to 240. Now it's at about 219. It was down in the early market, down about 2 or 3%, making a little bit of a run. Probably people realizing maybe it was overdone on the news and that it's only going to impact 24 planes, because the FAA has demanded emergency inspections of all the Boeings. They're not being forced to not fly, but they are saying they want to inspect them. And again, it's only 24 of their 777s. The engine, in fact, is not made by Boeing. It's made by Raytheon. So it doesn't really impact Boeing in the way that you would think it would, like the 737 debacle. But it impacts them in terms of it's their name again, and it is their liability and responsibility because they put them in their planes. Look at the stock overall. It's neutral in terms of RSI. It's not overbought or oversold. But again, it continues to struggle with bad news. At one time, this was a company that the stock was near 400, but it's really struggled over the last couple of years. And the issue really comes down to with Boeing, and it's that their backlog of jets, jets that are ordered, they had to write off about $100 billion in early January. That's $100 billion of jets that are not going to be purchased because of outright cancellations, and those are mostly in the 737s. So again, the last time they did this, in December, they removed 66 orders from its backlog. They still have a backlog of about 3,000 jets they're going to be making. But also they have a 777, which is It's a long-range aircraft. So it's when you fly to Europe. It's when, the flight that had the issue was flying to Hawaii, and that's a long-range plane. Airlines don't want these, so they're finding cancellations in these 777s because they're making more money and they're more efficient to fly smaller planes. So Boeing's had a bunch of issues with the 777, again, canceling orders. So their problems haven't disappeared. The stock looks more appealing because you look at it and you say, oh, well, this company, if it can return to normal, is going to, rebound, and the stock can get up to 380, 400, when Boeing had tons of cash. Now they don't have that cash that's just sitting there in piles and piles. They've used it to pay off and get through all these issues. The real issue is we're not flying as much. Hours on planes are down because of for the COVID for the last year. So the demand for aircraft in the future is not as high as it would have been as well. I don't like the stock. I've been in it. It's made me nauseous at times because it seems to always be the stock you get in at the wrong time. You get in it, you think they're safe, bad news happens. I don't like it here. A long-term investor, if you're looking 3 to 5 years out, there aren't a lot of people in this game, who can make airplanes. So in terms of Boeing being a great long-term investment, it is, but you're going to have to go and weather more storms. There are more storms coming for Boeing, and if you're looking at it as a 2-3 year investment, the price isn't terrible right now, but I'm not going to be in it. I'm not going to put clients in it right now. I don't feel like it's a safe stock, and it continues to get bad news. So a question we got from Roger.
The average
Roger wants
investor.
to know, and we talk about it a lot on the show, what is RSI, or the Relative Strength Index? Well, the Relative Strength Index is a momentum indicator. It's used in technical analysis, meaning those who watch volumes and flows and charts and use words like support and resistance. So RSI is a technical indicator that determines momentum, and it measures overbought and oversold conditions. And the RSI is displayed in a line graph, so it goes from 0 to 100. And if you use the RSI to interpret, you would say values of 70 or above indicate that a security or a stock is becoming overbought, and then those that are 30 or below are oversold. And so those are good opportunities to potentially get in a position. The way that a pro uses this is he looks at a position, he looks at overbought or oversold, and picks a time to enter the stock. Meaning, if a stock is overbought, generally it's going to have to unwind because stocks do not go to the moon. So timing, it helps with timing. So when you see that overbought indicator, you need to be watching that to make sure you don't enter that position at that time, because that generally, maybe you've bought it too late. Maybe it's something you just saw on the screen. Stocks we've talked about on the show, DermTech, DMTK, extremely overbought conditions. Stock continues to kind of move up, but it's going to have to unwind. When you look at these charts that go parabolic, they generally have to unwind at some point. They always do. All stocks unwind. They have to go back and they find some support. So that's RSI, and that's how it's used by a technical trader. Hey, thanks. Another great show. If you have questions, send them to Jeffrey@jeffreycamus.com. And we'll see you next time on Stock Smart.